Yeah.
Like Siebel Center for
I do
Commuters?
I do at Siebel.
Like this one or the other one?
This one, like
Oh.
out over there.
Oh, yeah.
That's where Aiden does his work. He recommends it.
Aiden, yeah.
Or those.
You had you and Aiden, a similar pass, right?
What do you mean?
Well, he went to community.
He did.
Yeah, transferred in here.
Mhm.
You guys both like started your like thing. When did you actually start Brothers Nuts? Okay, well actually,
Well,
pause.
no. That,
Well,
that's
here
a
let's
mistake,
like define what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say we're gonna do two things real quick. Professionally, if you're pitching in a store,
Yeah.
like what are you saying? Like saying to me, maybe I'm the store director.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I'm Austin. I'm with BrothersNuts, a one-of-a-kind sprouted organic nut company. We offer some of the healthiest snacks on the planet that taste amazing. Because so often, health and flavor aren't synonymous. And if something's healthy, it probably doesn't taste good. If something tastes good, you don't want to look at the ingredients or the nutrition facts. So we offer a snack that's the best of both worlds, from the way we source our nuts to the way we take 3 days to make a bag, to the way we make them here in Illinois, to the ingredients we use. Everything has a process to it. Everything is very intentional, from where we source, why we source, the badges, the certifications we have. Lately, I've been really using the slogan, you deserve a snack that works as hard as you do, because that's really true. I mean, so often these corporations, they're just getting everything for the cheapest possible, the cheapest possible price, there's so much I can go into on that. And you get a snack that probably has calories but there's no nutrients in it. There's no nutrients. There's no health benefits. It's doing the exact opposite. And why we're so passionate about it here at Brothers Nuts, right? Not only, which I'll go back to the story, but we made it for my dad who had cancer for 7 years, right? And like when he passed in 2017, I was 13. That was kind of like his legacy to us. But more so, why we're so passionate at Brothers Nuts is because if we can change how the world snacks, which is, let's be honest, we snack every day, right? You grab chips, you grab fruit, right? Everyone's snacking every single day. It's human nature. So we can just change those little snacks, because the typical excuse by modern medicine and big corporations and just people in general is in moderation. They say, well, in moderation, that sugar additive is not bad for you. That's cool, but I mean, in moderation, when you eat something daily for 40 years of your life, that does not sound like moderation to me. Am I crazy to say that? I hope not. So if we can just start changing the snacks people are eating on a daily basis, that'll influence them to probably eat a little bit of a healthier meal and live a little bit of a longer, healthier life with their family. I really think we could there's so much we can do for everyone by offering just a healthy snack. So although it's a healthy snack, I think it does a lot more. Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
I was like, okay, that was.
I had some prep today. I was doing some sampling this morning.
Oh no, I'd imagine.
So I'm a little bit in the mood.
I'd imagine. It's not like you're like passionate about it or anything. Like it's not like this has been like but wow, man. Like okay, well, I wasn't expecting that.
I go off on a there's so many side tangents.
No, I know. I
go down a little bit.
There's a lot to unpack.
Reel
there.
back.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah.
There. First thing that would like come to my mind, like that you like briefly mentioned in there, that I also think would contextualize the rest of the conversation, is you briefly mentioned on why it was founded. Would you be able to talk a little bit more and expand on that?
Yeah, I can get kind of in depth, and you guys can see what you like. I've grown up. My family was always a weird family. I never drank milk, right? We had almond milk in the house. We had like the weird cereal. We'd eat like pizza from Whole Foods, and my friends would always be like, they'd be like, what the heck is this? It actually tasted pretty good though. So just really unique foods and everything. My dad was a chiropractor. Grew up in like Peru, LaSalle, Illinois, really small town. Actually went to Illinois. Was an entrepreneur my entire life, right? Starting his own practice, building other practices, selling practices, combining practices. And he was there. My parents were very just open about the business they were doing, right? What they were doing, why they were doing it, how they were doing it. So, entrepreneurship, I really saw it as I was growing up. And so in 2010, my father was handed a life-changing diagnosis. They said, hey, you have stage 4 brain cancer spread to the body. He was in Chicago. They told him, they're like, hey, get your affairs in order. You're probably going to die. There was really no solution at the time they even handed to him. They just handed them how much longer was left. And so my dad had the choice. He could either listen to the diagnosis, or we have a picture. He wheeled himself out of the hospital, like 110 pounds, 120 pounds. He's like as tall as you, Austin. Right? Wheeled himself out of it, flew to like Nevada, flew to Spain, met some really good people who and then through diet, through just through not using a lot of what people were telling him to do, he was able to just reverse that cancer and live for another 7 years, right? And after the 5-year mark, 2015, he could say he was cancer-free. He was cured, which is a really big moment for us. And so in those 7 years of living, what should have been 7 weeks probably, everything changed. His diet, his lifestyle, his work, right? At that point, he started speaking around the world. And so often he was always researching and posting and whatnot, and he always on the new trends, what was coming out. And so we started hearing about sprouting and sprouting nuts. So when you eat nuts and seeds, there's kind of like 3 types. There's roasted, which you guys are familiar with. There's raw, which everyone's familiar with. And then there's sprouted. So kind of like raw is like the mid tier. Roasted's the bad tier, probably going down. And then sprouted's like the best version possible. So when you eat a roasted nut or seed, it's a lot of high heat, kills all nutrients. I mean, think about it. Like if you threw veggies in the pan and cooked it forever, all the nutrients get out of it. Same thing happens when you roast it, high heat. And when it's raw, so often you can't digest it properly in your gut, so you can't get all the nutrient absorption out of it. But with sprouting, it's a 3-day process, kind of simulates that. A nut's supposed to grow, fall off the bush, fall off the tree, and then grow again. And in that process of getting soaked in water, it releases all this bad stuff, phytic acid, bad enzymes. Makes it much easier to digest, much tastier, much crunchier. I wish Austin could try them.
I'm allergic to nuts for context.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunately. I was growing up drinking, real quick. Take one guess.
Soy milk.
Right.
No, that was my guess.
You knew it was? Okay.
Because when it started, it was like soy and almond.
Yeah, oat milk's been on the rise lately.
I love oat.
But yeah, I'm a fan as well.
I'm a fan of oat milk.
Continue, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I kind of went off there. So how it started, right? My dad, for those 7 years of living, was just on the cutting edge. One day, my mom and we were toying with flavors, and we made this flavor. And my dad had a friend, another chiropractor, who was having this really big event like the next month in Wisconsin. And so when he was there with his family, they stayed the night for the weekend, and we had the dehydrators running, which with the sprouting you use dehydrators, low heat ovens, so you don't roast them, kill the nutrients. Really unique machines. And so he saw us making them. He was like, "Wow, these are good. Oh, these are you guys made them?" We're like, "Yeah, we made them with our mom. We made them." He's like, "Good." He's like, "You want to come sell them at my event?" And at that point, I was like 12 maybe. My brother was like 13, 14. I was maybe 11. We were small. We didn't have the name of the company. We didn't have packaging. We didn't have bags. We just had this little batch meeting with our mom, and the guy was like, "Yeah, come sell it." My dad was, of course,
brothers and some nuts.
And that's exactly what it was. We started with just bags from the local store. We used staples to close a bag. Don't want to do that. It's not what you're supposed to do. Stickers to close a bag. So crazy how we just got thrust into it. And then after my father passed in 2017, which was it was really quick how it happened. And so after that, how people showed their support were they would just buy nuts. So like we got thrust. Like we had people just in our kitchen just making nuts. Like January 2017. I think we did like, I don't know, like should I say a number for what we did that first month?
Yeah.
We did like 20, 30 grand in the first month.
Wow.
Damn,
Which is
awesome.
that was just outpouring from like the people to show support, which was we were forced to do it. Right. And then like that was pretty sustained for the next couple of years, just of people supporting and wanting to support, and the product was great.
That's how you know your dad was a good guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we had a celebration of life after instead of a funeral, which was just so many people just came through, and yeah, no, it's it was really good, and yeah, you definitely just saw how many people's lives he impacted, for sure. And then and it's just transparently, honestly, like I was 13, right? I was going through a lot emotionally as a human, a lot of change in my life. So I wasn't really that focused on the business, especially 13, 14, 15, 16. I mean, I was in high school, middle school. The business was running. It was doing decent numbers. I mean, at one point we even had a deal with Oberweis Dairy in the midst of that.
Wow.
But I just wasn't super into it, right? I was so young. At that point, it was mostly like my older brother and like my mom who were helping do it. And then at this point, we have my stepdad who's really helping out too. And so the business was growing and running in spite of me. Like I just really wasn't doing anything. And then 17, 18-year-old hit. Now I'm 19. And I was like, okay, I should probably work on this. And since then, probably starting around, 2020, that's when we started locking in our first retailer. And then COVID hit. So then we that whole cycle happened. So now, present day, we're in all the fresh times in the next couple weeks here. So it's about 70 stores plus another 10 plus another ton of, so nearly 100 retailers across the Midwest right now.
That's so
Couple in
awesome,
California.
man. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's it's a lot.
So now you started from like that small, obviously selling to one person, and now you guys are at like 100 retailers. Can you kind of take us through like how it went, or like what you guys had to do to get to that?
Yeah. You know, there's no playbook. There's no textbook.
Right.
There's nothing they could teach you at this school. There's nothing they could probably teach you at Harvard that would probably prepare you for 13 years old running a nut company.
Yeah.
So it's really just trial and error, right? I use the analogy, which I don't know if I love it now, but it's like, you know, you throw yourself in the fire and like you have to figure out how to get out. You know, you're in a house on fire. You gotta find a window. You gotta find a door.
Yeah.
You gotta get out of it somehow. And so that's kind of what we did. You just throw yourself in the water. You just, sink or swim. And that's what we did. And so the first Overwise deal happened, like I said, lost it. All that happened was, we learned. It's like, okay, we produced these big batches, didn't have the quality control in place. That didn't work. Product wasn't good. It wasn't going to sell. Let's try it again. And so when we got them again this year, we crushed it. So how we've got these retailers. So it's kind of the idea of momentum is a really big deal, right? Pushing that boulder up the hill. Once you get it to the top, it's much easier after that. Finding product market fit. And so a big part of that for us was when we cold emailed and we cold called the CEO of Fresh Time. They just recently had a changeover to a new CEO.
Sorry, Fresh Time is a...
Fresh Time's a grocery store. So
it's like a Mariano's?
Farmers market. Similar.
Okay.
It's like a organic store with a small conventional side of things.
Okay,
Kinda
so
like
it's more of a...
smaller Whole Foods.
Yes.
Okay.
It's similar to Whole Foods, not as healthy, not as expensive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More Mariano's, but Mariano's is like a Whole Foods and Jewel mixed. And the Fresh Times is like a Whole Foods and Jewel, but like less Jewel, more Whole Foods. Complicated. It's a really neat store. A lot of cool products in there. They just got bought by Meijer, big company Meijer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the changes were happening, and we cold emailed the CEO. My brother did, just off of hey, I just want to talk to you. Like, I'm running this company. I'm going to go to college next year. I'm looking for advice. And that guy took it as, oh, they want to get into my store, and then sent out an email. And within the next couple of weeks, we were sitting down with his entire buying team, which was pretty cool. That was January, February 2020. As we all know, for the next couple of years, everything changed. And some BS that happens with the grocery and CPG, consumer packaged goods business, and just the retail store business is that buyers switch out over and over again. So we were talking to one person, following up for a year, and then right when we were about to get to the table, they left. New person. Nurture, build up relationship, they left. And so by this time, it was like 2022. Finally, we got into like 3 stores. After a year being in 3 stores, crushing it, owning it, we went back and said, hey, give us 30. They gave us 30 stores, beginning of this year. Within 6 months, we were doing so well that they gave us all the rest of them. So now we're in all 70, 71 stores. And that, like I said, that took, it's 2023 now. So it's been taking us 3 years. And like I said, the idea of momentum. So this past summer, I was able to pitch other stores in Northern Illinois, Sunset Foods, Brookhaven Marketplace, some other smaller retailers. And we were able to get into there, just using the case study that we have. So I think you can apply that framework to so much, right? Austin, we talk about this a lot. Just the idea of how often we kind of misinterpret and don't think about how much man hours it takes to actually achieve something, right? We've been working for 3 years to get 70 stores, and it just we make the post. It's like, oh, we're in all 70 stores. You don't see the 3 years that it took.
The Rocky cutscene, in the words of Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
The Rocky cutscene's a lot longer than 30 seconds in real life.
The amount of man hours that went into that was a lot. And the battle doesn't stop, right? Now we have to put so many more man hours into making sure that we excel and sell at the stores, which is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, so one thing I'd be curious to hear about is, I know that you kind of hinted at when you were younger, it sounded like your brother and then your family were the ones more running the business, right? So how important were them as role models in that process of getting you to kind of be in the role that you are now for the business?
Yeah, so there's this for some reason, 1 year my older brother hit 17 or 16 and flipped a switch. Like he went from like, being a typical normal high school kid, and then 16, 17, like he switched and was just focused and disciplined and really hardworking. And so that was always so weird. Like it was like right when he hit a certain age. Same thing happened to me though. Like right when that age hit, I guess like I thought that was normal. So
something in the genes. Who knows?
It flips. Like maybe
age 16.
Yeah. I guess when you hit 16 or 17, I forget. So it really just flipped a switch and was like, okay, it's time to take this more seriously, which I'm glad about. I'm glad happened. And my family is very supportive of all decisions, right? When it comes to college, when it comes to all that, we're expected to do really well in school, just because you should. I think that's smart. I mean, school can do some good things for you in regards to discipline and whatnot. But besides that, it's like they were not pushing me to go to a big 4-year institution. I had some family members who were like, hey, really want you to go to like a Harvard school. And I'm like, okay, so I applied and nearly got into some of them, but at the end of the day, like that, I wouldn't have wanted to go. So like what I did was perfect. It's perfect to where I am now, how I'm doing it. But you always got to keep getting better. But going back to the idea of role models, I've been able to answer this question more as I'm talking to more people, and it's hard for me to be I gotta be concise enough and specific enough. I sometimes ramble too much. But so this idea of the role models, someone asked me, they're like, well, you were 13. Like, why do you think you could just start selling these nuts and run a business? I had no idea of like what it took to run a business, marketing, didn't know what that was, sales, like, none of the things that were meant anything to me. It was just kind of like, hey, we have nuts, we're selling them, we're making them. But the idea that was a possibility, that was a thing, that should happen, was because I saw my dad doing it since I was born. Like I said, they were very open of the business. I saw him conducting business deals. He'd have us go with him when he spoke, when he talked to people. I was seeing how he spoke, how he orated to his patients, to the people listening to him in the audience. So it really was like a natural thing. It really was in the genes, if we could make a joke of it. It really was.
Yeah. Damn, man. Yeah. So that was more of like, okay, like being around like your parents. Do you think that like is there anything else besides like the like selling the nuts? Or anything that has to do with like the nut business? Maybe you had a different job or different experience in something else that built those skills of communication and made you either more comfortable or more skilled in conversation.
Yeah. Right. I had the opportunity to start managing a musical artist, so artist management. And throughout that process, and he's currently on tour right now, doing great. We have a whole team. Been doing that for over 3 years now. I was 16 or 15 at the time.
Wait, real quick. What motivated you to like get into that? Because like you've got the nut business, right? What's
right.
like? Oh, like let me try this, like, because it's a very like
Yeah. So
two completely different industries.
It's kind of funny. So 2020 hit, pandemic, a lot more time at home, and so I was really taken at that time. My parents really pushed the idea of right, you're the average of the 3 people you surround yourself with. They were really pushing that on us, and I was like, okay. And so there's this kid at school who was a musical artist, and I started becoming more friends with him until the pandemic hit. Then we're at home, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start making beats, beat making. I feel like every young teenage dude
go through the phases.
Yeah.
DJing, beat making,
freestyling.
I didn't do that one, thank God.
Just me.
Yeah, just you. I wish I did. I can't do it now. So I was doing that. And I was like, I like this. Like, I like music. I made maybe one very subpar beat in my entire 3-month career. But what that did was it, allowed me to have this relationship with my friend who was an artist and really build that out. Now we're great friends. And when the opportunity came from this local kid who was making the song to my friend who just released his first song, he sent it to my friend and was like, hey, I got this song. I don't know what to do with it. And my friend brought it to me, and him and I worked together on it. Like, we were really just him and I crushing it. Him and I worked together for that first half a year until he got yelled at by his label because they're like, "Hey, you're an artist. What are you doing over there?" Which always stinks, and like what that could have been because he was crushing it. So the opportunity just came to me. I was doing the music beat managed. I was making beats, and I was like, "Oh, this is how I do music." Knew nothing about the music industry, had zero connections. The only connections I had was my friend who had some connections. And I think through that experience, right, I was talking with, and especially within the next year, he had a song that did pretty well on TikTok, and that really opened up a network of music people. And there's a lot of gatekeepers in this space. So we were at parties at the Faye's house. We were at these clubs with this girl, like the Kardashian friends, like honorary Kardashians and stuff. And I'm 16 years old in these places.
Jesus.
And so I was very
playing Minecraft, bro.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But like being in those situations made me go, shoot, you can't act like a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old when you're in these places. So that's really changed how I can interact, how I can talk to people, and I think from a young age that's important because, like I said, I just thrust myself into it. I think especially as we have younger siblings and as we keep growing up and have kids hopefully one day, teaching them to just interact better with adults and differently with adults, I think it's really important.
Yeah. No, that's...
I gave you a lot there.
Dude, I'm just like caught up by the fact that you were at the Faye's house and hanging out with the Kardashians when you were 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you've got a lot of random experiences.
Yeah.
But those are like the most interesting people, though.
Should have journaled. I should have journaled that stuff.
Journaled.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many stuff I probably forgot.
Should have vlogged it.
Luke told me the other day, actually, because I was telling him some stories. He was like, you should write these down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a good idea. But,
right.
like, I probably won't do it just because, like,
Never do.
You know what I mean? It's not really a habit. But I wonder if we'll hit an age where maybe, like, we just start forgetting some of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, obviously, like, those are probably, like, staple ones for you. That, like,
still aren't, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain
when was the last time you brought it up?
It's been a second.
Yeah.
I try not to talk about it. It's a little random.
Exactly.
How do you talk about that?
Well, you got to talk about yourself on the podcast.
It's kind of fun.
But I feel like the majority of, like, the life timelines of stories just, like, happens, and then the frequency of you telling it is, like, a lot, and then it just slowly goes down and down and down over time.
Yeah.
And then someone will bring something up really niche, and you're like, oh, that one time.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa, like, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And maybe someone's so involved in the story, but then it, like, reminds you of, like, oh, yeah, like, I did that, or, like, that was such a fun experience, but I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Okay. I don't want to go off on a tangent here.
No.
But it reminds me of this. The other day, we had to share, like, embarrassing stories for our, like, chapter group.
Classic.
Yeah.
I got to miss that one, thank God.
A little
lucky.
I know.
So it was like, yeah, whatever. Like, we all get the notification in my pledge class. Then some kid, like, throws in our, like, only pledge group chat. He was like, bro, like, why can I not remember anything right now? Like, why has nothing funny ever happened to me now that I think about this? And everybody's like, yo, like, same. Like, we just couldn't think of anything. And I think I go for, like, any story. Like, if you're just put on the spot and you're not constantly reminding yourself of them, they're just going to escape your mind, which is it can be a little scary.
It is scary. Yeah, it is scary. I think that also relates to, like, kind of now I've had to talk about my business more than I've ever had in my life. And I'm trying to get better at it, right? Trying to be more concise, tell the exciting parts, tell the informational, educational parts. So it's something that I'm actively trying to get better at. And I should be better hopefully within a year. Hopefully I should be better within a year. It's interesting just because it's like so often I can go off on a side tangent.
Yeah.
Because like it's your brain wants to. I don't know.
Yeah.
Your brain like just betrays you, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
I know. That's like a big thing that I struggle with. Is I'll be talking about this, and then my brain,
Yeah.
Finish the main point, right?
Yeah.
But like you just talk.
But it's like, oh, that one's more exciting, and like, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Maybe it's because of our phones.
That's
The
actually-
attention span going down.
No, that's actually a fact. Though.
Now we're going full circle, like with the whole
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram Reels. That probably is like a very good take, though.
Yeah.
It's so because I mean you're ultimately conditioned by your environment so much that so many. I notice so many differences, like with like what we were talking about earlier. With like, if I have to eat a meal, I just scroll through Reels now.
Yeah.
But it used to be like YouTube, and then maybe before that it used to be a show like that I would just throw on. It's like, where is it all gonna go?
You know what the saddest thing is when you see like people like friends just eating dinner together and they're all on their phones.
The worst.
That's
or like a family.
Oh yeah, family's even worse. But yeah, just any group of people eating dinner together at a restaurant and they're all just on their phones and I'm like, ugh. That's why like forgot where I went. I went to some restaurant and they had a bucket in the middle of the table and it was the phone bucket and everyone had to put their phones in there. And that was the best like dinner I ever had with my family because no one even had their phone. And we like me and my dad have watches. My mom made us put our Apple Watches in there. Like that was the best dinner we ever had, and it was because the phone wasn't there.
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, that's really mandatory, I think. I don't know.
I think sometimes, I don't mean for this to sound too, you'll know what I mean. Yeah. But there's times when I'll look at like some little kid like having like lunch or dinner with their like grandpa, and they're on their phone just like scrolling them, and I'm like, like, you're gonna regret that. Yeah. You don't know it right now. Like, you're way too young, but you will. Yeah. Which is rough.
Hurts my heart.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Especially when it comes to like my grandparents. Yeah. I will cut that out. I think about that a lot when it comes to like my grandparents or maybe my like older relatives, that when I'm with them, well, I think about what they do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm like, I don't mean this in any, like towards like what you'll know what I mean. When they see me, like they're so excited to see me.
Yeah, that's grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like when I walk into my grandpa's house, they're ecstatic, and like it's so heartwarming. But it also makes me like so motivated, like this is why I'm doing this, like this is why I'm making it a priority, and it's I don't know. I think about like when I'm gonna be that age. What stories would you want to tell like your grandkids like when you get to that age?
I don't know. I think that's a really good journal prompt actually. What stories do I want to tell my grandkids one day?
What do you think would be the best one you already have now?
I don't know. Specific stories. I mean that one weekend was fun. That music business Face House weekend would be interesting. This last month when I was in Orlando, then Philly, then back to Orlando, then the next weekend in LA for more. That'd be a pretty cool week or two.
What was all that for? We're just gonna like
yeah. So this could be a fun story. So every year we always have this. So my dad, chiropractor. We do this big chiropractic event in Orlando every year, and it's always a great weekend. So we have that booked in like mid-September, and like a month or two before that, I see the submission for this Whole Foods open call meeting at this convention in Philadelphia. I knew it was during the Orlando meeting, but I was like, the chances of us getting one of these meetings like are pretty crazy. 1, 2, you had to like be at the convention to get the meeting. So I was like, even if we got it, like I don't even know how we'd get there, right? So it was just like, apply, put all your eggs in one basket, and then like figure it out later. That's what we did. And thankfully, we had like a really good pitch because we just pitched Shark Tank earlier a couple months before.
Wait. All
right, finish this story, then we gotta go back.
And
after
so
that.
We had this really good pitch for Whole Foods. Submit the pitch. Don't think anything of it. I'm just like, that was a really good pitch because like we just pitched Shark Tank. And so a couple weeks later, I get an email. It's like a little arbitrary. It's like, fill this out for a spot. But like it doesn't, some places it says it's confirmed. Some places it's like, we don't know if you have it yet. And I'm calling my team. I'm like, hey, we may have it. And then I have my brother who's like, that's a lie. Like, there's no way. Then my mom was like, oh, that'd be exciting. And I'm like, I don't know. Then like another week later, they confirm it. We have a calendar appointment. We're in Orlando at the time. So I'm like, okay. Now we're at the figure it out part. So I'm calling people, trying to get tickets to the convention. And keep in mind, I didn't even say this. This is for a 15-minute meeting with Whole Foods. 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes. They don't make commitments on the spot. So like I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, right, just to get a 15-minute meeting with Whole Foods. Whole Foods is obviously a big deal, so it's worth it. It's hard to get a hold of them, so it's worth it. So we make it happen. I'm in Orlando. I fly to Orlando on Thursday morning. I do my event Thursday. Fly to Philly Thursday night. Meet my stepdad there because he was doing the meeting with me. We sleep, wake up, pitch Whole Foods for 15 minutes. A phenomenal pitch. A true blessing of how that pitch worked. I mean, from walking in, the buyer already had our product before, which is like, you can't ask for something better than that.
Yeah.
We already, it was incredible. Then I stopped, went to the airport, did my AK Sci final interview. Woke up the next morning, got my bid.
So that probably made that feel like a little less stakes.
Yeah. I didn't care. I was like, dude, I just pitched Whole Food this morning. I'll do a final interview in the airport, which is kind of funny. And then went back, did the rest of my sales event, flew back home on Sunday. drove back to Champaign, went to school Monday to Wednesday. Then I flew out to LA Wednesday night or Thursday. Yeah, Thursday morning. No, Wednesday night. Oh my goodness. So kind of back to back flying out.
Why were you in LA?
So that's my artist is currently on tour right now.
Oh, okay.
And so he's on a 38 show tour across the country with opening for this girl named Jessie Murph. Super cool act, super cool talent. And so he had Santa Ana in the LA show. And so we had like Tana Mojo with the LA show. So like that would be fun. And we had some other meetings and our entire team's in LA. So like it was some important meetings. We were meeting with some Apple, Spotify people as well. And there's a lot of people there. So that was it was important for me to be there. Then I got back and then back to school.
Nice. And here we are.
That was a fun weekend, a fun 2 weeks there. Busy, fun, successful. A lot of learning, a lot of just getting stuff done throughout that time. Maybe I talk about that.
Yeah. Before you ask the Shark Tank, I want to ask one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Before those interviews,
yeah,
maybe specifically that Whole Foods interview, what's going through your head to help you prepare? I mean, a lot of it, I guess, would be just through the preparation, right?
Yeah.
But maybe even those earlier ones that maybe you didn't feel as comfortable, how did you prepare to make sure that, you said this one went really well.
Yeah.
How do you prepare to make sure that those go as good as they possibly can?
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea of luck is obviously there. I mean, the buyer we got was in Downers Grove. She lives in Downers Grove. We have a Fresh Time down the street. It's her son's favorite store. She went to the store. Our product was there, looking great in the shipper right when she walked in. I mean, the stars just completely aligned for us. But at the end of the day, I mean, luck is, preparation meeting the actual event happening. So, for whatever that means. So, of course, there was luck involved. There's luck in everything. So, in order to capitalize on the event, though, so I prepared. I really took the idea of the manpower, the man hours into it. So, like, for the 2 weeks before the pitch, I was just, like, an hour a day writing down what I'd want to say. I met with Aiden, a friend of ours, and was like, hey, for an hour, we just thought of, like, what if she says this? What if she says this? What if she's, like, questions me on this? What if she wants to know more about this? And just coming up with every angle possible. And then the morning of, I didn't eat anything. I took, like, a caffeine strip or something. My mouth is dry. Only thing I had to wash down was hot coffee. I don't drink coffee. Gross. I was jittering. I was a little nervous, too. And caffeine. And then I'm sitting down with my stepdad, and he's like, hey, she's doing this all day. She's, like, speed dating pretty much. What if we just go in? I know you've been preparing for 2 weeks straight. Great job, Austin. But what if we just walk in and go, hey, we have 15 minutes, not a lot of time. What do you want to know about us? What's going to move the needle for you? So we did that. And then off the bat, she's like, well, the good news is I already had your product. I already love it. And then we proceeded to talk about, like, how to market and, like, why Sprouted for, like, half the time, which is just, like, hilarious.
That's beautiful. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the idea with the luck, right? Preparation. And then when you get to the event, something happens. I mean, you got to be able to roll with the punches, right?
Yeah.
Amen.
Wow. All right, we got to go back to the Shark Tank thing.
Yeah.
That's like cool, but then you just like went right over this whole Shark Tank thing.
Over.
So
yeah, I had a little warm up before.
I was on Shark Tank, No,
I wasn't on Shark Tank. We were talking. We were fast tracked with a producer. I think I can say all this. We're not going on this now. So for last season, it was like they were like cutting off like the submissions in like a week, right? So they didn't have many other places. They weren't expecting many other companies, and the like the food packaging space on Shark Tank is just like the biggest category ever. And there's only so much you can do with food. Like it's hard to differentiate yourself. So we worked with a producer. Like they were helping us edit the video, helping us write the script, which is sick, and then presenting it to the people. But we just got in too late, and he was like, "Hey, next season we can probably make it happen if you want." By next season, I don't know if we'll want Shark Tank. I don't know. We'll see. That'd be fun though. But the process of learning, like I have a picture. Like we had 5 lights like these. We had like a backdrop, a table. We ran through the pitch. We scripted it. We ran through it like 10 times, and by the 8th time, it was like that was the best one. Sent it through. It was pretty cool. That opportunity came from just networking. Like I connected with someone on LinkedIn, talked to him. He was like, "Hey, have you been on Shark Tank? Your brand looks perfect." I was like, "No." He's like, "I know a guy. Something with this guy." The guy was like, "I love you." We're like, "I love you too." And then we after that we pitched the producers. They loved it, but it just wasn't the right timing. So, but because of that preparation, I got to meet with Whole Foods, right? In the pitch to Whole Foods, I literally put the Shark Tank pitch video. Like I put it in one of the slides. So it was like, screw it. I mean, I'm throwing it all out there. Like, hey, you, and so yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is actually so sick.
I do forget about that.
Yeah.
You got to write it down.
I know.
Yeah, that's a story to tell your grandkids.
I think so. Well, maybe next year I come back and I already feel maybe I'm on Shark Tank. I don't know.
Hey,
who knows?
What's crazy? Oh, I don't know if we can say this, so maybe don't.
We can. Worst case, we could.
Maybe this part alone, because like certain things you're not supposed to say. I can't sign a contract or something. But what a lot of people don't know, and fuck it, put this out there. Okay.
No, we're good. We're good, brother.
What a lot of people don't know is that Shark Tank films a certain amount of shows, but doesn't air about like 10 to 20% of them. So you will go through all that work, all the effort, pitch them for an hour long. A lot of people don't know the stuff you see on TV. Like it's maybe more than that.
I heard some of those deals take like 4 or 5 hours.
They do.
Yeah.
And the deals are real. Like what happens on this, like you like when you shake that hand, like that's the deal. Like there's some other stuff, but like that's the deal. And so you go through all that time to pitch them for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then after the editing process, your show just may not get aired. And like, imagine you didn't take a deal and you're just like, I'm hoping to just get the PR from it, and you just don't get aired. It's like, wow, that was for nothing.
Damn.
So there's a lot of risk when it comes to Shark Tank, but they hold so much power. I mean, I think that
I've heard so many.
That show is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard I've seen a lot of criticisms like in comment sections about like they just bully whoever it is like on the thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think that's the case. I think that's just drama TV magic.
No, I know.
I think so. There's no way.
I love some of the edits. Like there's the one of like the little kid.
I've seen that.
It's like he's a con artist. do you know the one I'm talking about?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, it's great.
I love that clip.
It's great.
Do
you have any idea?
I know what you're talking about. I love Shark Tank.
What shark would you want to deal with?
Mark.
I think that
everyone says Mark, but like, I think you're wrong.
Why?
He's too busy.
It depends.
He's the richest guy there.
It depends what I want, right?
Well, is he a multi-billionaire? He's definitely at least 1 billion. Like he's 1.5 billion.
Okay, well, it depends the company you're pitching and like where you're trying to like kind of get.
There's no way he's gonna be hands-on.
Well, I mean, say like with like BrothersNuts, you were trying to get into like the whole like sports arena stuff, right? He owns the Mavs. I mean, get there, and then he obviously, if he owns the Mavs, he probably has connections with Nuts, are probably a big thing at baseball games.
Right.
Probably has connections with.
And that rolls into a lot more.
Yeah.
He's a lot of pull because he's Mark Cuban.
Yeah, right.
Our goal was Lori.
Okay.
Lori is the QVC lady.
What does QVC mean?
QVC is this like TV, like it's like a 24. I don't know if it's 24/7, but like they sell stuff on TV pretty much.
Oh, I did know that. I did know that.
Call in now and you get this for half off. They're always country for some reason. They're always from the South, and so she runs that, which I probably do well in there. But she just has. I think she was a Scrub Daddy girl too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think she did the Scrub Daddy deal.
She's the blonde one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's her. She did the Scrub Daddy deal. A lot of retail connections with that. We'd crush it with her.
Right.
That was the idea. No offense to any of the others, but probably like wouldn't really. I love Damon John. He has this book, Rise and Grind, phenomenal book. A very smart guy, came from nothing, a big hustler. Don't know if he could do much with Nuts.
Yeah, I remember I would always watch Shark Tank with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad loved that show so much.
Hard not to.
He'd just like sit in our basement. He would have his like what's that called? Like the exercise bike, like and then like, just watch it on our TV. You've been in my basement.
Yeah. Just
like watch it on the TV. He was riding on the bike, and he'd be like, "Oh, like watch this one with me," and like we'd always go through it, and he'd always be explaining. He's like, "Well, the thing is like if they don't take the deal, they still like." And he was trying to explain all this like business, like because before coming to college, I had no idea like what all this. Like I wasn't selling nuts at 13. Right. So I remember sitting there and I'm like kind of beginning to grasp what like it meant at first. But there's like so much to learn from Shark Tank, even as like an inherent business model too of like, I think I talked about in one of my business classes last year of, oh no, it was an Alex Hormozy video. It was. But instead,
so much you get
kind of like reprogramming the game a little bit as a VC and like building leverage to where you're not like going out to find like who you're going to invest in, rather like they're going to come to you because you're also providing indirect value of like they're going to get the PR from it. And once you like all the layers to like whether it's Shark Tank or just other businesses is like so interesting. I find all of it like so interesting now.
There's so much you learn from it. Like one of the pitches that we were actually taking inspiration from was this like family company who their product was a cutting board that had like it caught what you cut below it, which is like such like a
wait,
it was like a cutting board, right? A cutting board, but like it had like a place in the bottom to like catch the stuff that like you cut, like the scraps. Like what? Like that's such like a random product, but like great story. Great pitch, decent numbers, and so it worked on the show, and they got it. And I think they made a deal. It also just goes to show, like, I mean, so, a lot of what we learn about is like SaaS and technology and startups and all that sort of thing.
Software as a service.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that if you're a young kid, right, and if you really want to succeed, starting out trying to build a SaaS or an app. I'm tired of hearing about apps personally. I love our friends who do it, and I want them to continue doing it and to crush it. But like, I'm talking to these kids with the apps, and I'm just like, so how are you getting customers? And like, that's not even on their mind. They're just about like, we got to build a better app. I'm like, well, you can build a good app, but like, if people don't know about the app, they don't come.
Right.
And I think so often, like, I think we need to have more businesses and like more tangibles. Like we have Aiden, who has a lawn care business. He knows how to get customers. He runs local ads. He knows that he can go door to door. He can hire a sales team for that. And now he's turning into like a tech play, which is incredible for him. But like, I think there just needs to be more fundamental businesses. I think we got to get away from the shiny object syndrome for sure, Which is just tech, AI.
I love all the memes. Like my Reels page is so much of like VCs, like if it like, has nothing to do with AI. Like, oh my God, they're so funny. It's like them rolling out the red carpet and everything like that.
Yeah.
But what would be your what would be your advice to maybe that young kid that like wants to get into entrepreneurship, wants to start some sort of business? What type of business do you think would be like the best way to get started? Like I'm not saying like hyper like specific, like lawn care, like mow lawns or something like that.
I think the best way for a kid to get started is to probably I think you have restart. I think the best way for a kid to get started is starting with like unpaid internships, apprenticeships, shadowing. I think that's the best way to do it. Let's say you want to do finance. Fine. I think I think this is something that I've actually recommended to my girlfriend, a lot of friends of mine. They just don't know what to do. Like they don't know what they want to do. So I'm like, cool. What are you doing to fix that? Well, I'm in school. I'm like, no. You should be talking to people who are in these jobs. A friend of mine, they're distant family members, an accountant. It's like, text her, right? Start with your family. Identify 3 family members with interesting jobs: pharmacist, accountant, lawyer. Schedule a 30-minute call with them. They're your family. They're gonna meet with you. If you could sit down with them, that'd be better. I mean, just talk to them about what their job does, what they do on the job, what their day looks like, and at the end of the call, this is a very important part. Say, hey, who are 3 other friends of yours I should talk to? Right? Because that's probably the hardest part. They say, well, after my family, who do I talk to? Well, ask your uncle to introduce you to his 3 friends who are maybe a lawyer in this, or maybe he's a VC, or maybe he's this, and talk to them. And as long as you're actually interested, asking good questions, they may give you an opportunity. They may say, hey, come in, watch what I do, and then from there you can do more. But I think the idea of more unpaid internships, more just putting yourself out there, throwing yourself in that house on fire and figuring out how to get out. I think throwing yourself in the water and sinking or swimming, I think that's what we need to do more of. And that's how people should start. Identify a couple family members with cool jobs, talk to them, and then ask them for their friends with cool jobs too, and talk to them and see if you can get any opportunities from there. It'd be interesting.
I love that. That's because that's so laying out a blueprint, not just abstract talk.
Yeah.
Of like, here's like things you could actually do.
It's hard work. You got to be able to ask good questions, which is important. You got to be able to actually be authentic and interested and present, as we've been talking about. You just got to be a decent orator. But it's your family.
But if you're committed, that's the way to do it, right? I mean, you know who to reach out to, reach out from them, and then I think another big one is you can use LinkedIn a little bit to do that, but then LinkedIn also like connects you with like bigger companies, and it's like, people probably won't reach out to you, but I like how you, like what Austin said, giving the blueprint on how to do it, actual instructions. That's really cool.
And if you could start at 13, that'd be even better. The reason why my brother was able to have that fresh-time CEO care was because he was a junior in high school, right? He's 21 now. Probably couldn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
He's out of college, right? I can maybe try it. We may start doing that. But it's like, when you're young, people are going to give you slack. They're going to give you credit for just reaching out, right? If you're not the best orator, they're going to probably cut you some slack. And if you're trying, I think that's the least. That's all they want to see. They want to see you trying.
I've really started to learn that.
Yeah.
I think about the college kid tag. I was just listening to like Rohan and Jacob's like last episode, where they're talking like post college life and maybe like things they took for granted in college.
Yeah.
And the college kid tag is so powerful.
You said college kid tag?
Yeah. Hi, I'm in college.
Ah, yes.
I would love to be able to learn this an hour. I'd love to be able to shadow you, or whatever it may be. I'd love to like pick your brain about this. Or I'd love to be able to have you on my podcast or something along those lines. It is such like a powerful brand in and of itself, because people just want to help younger people who maybe they see themselves in a lot. Yeah. If I got reached out to by like any like 6th to like 8th grade, or like even anyone in high school, I would be so quick to help, because I remember being like that, and I remember being in those exact same shoes. And that's been something that's been on my mind a lot lately, is just like not taking this all for granted. Of like, hey, like I'm gonna be here for like 3 years. Like, let's not get used to it. Let's actually like really make the most of the resources that I have while I'm here. This will like transition to something that I want to ask you. I think this will be like a good conversation as well. Of you, okay. Why did you transfer to college, and then like why did you transfer to U of I? So like we'll go like the first question.
Yeah. So I think the current system of college in this country is pretty screwed up. You have a kid who doesn't know what they're doing. They graduate high school, and then you give them, what is it? Probably, let's say 40 times 4, 160 grand in debt. And you give a 17 or an 18-year-old $160,000 in debt. Difference between college debt and a small business loan is that a small business loan, you borrow 100 grand. If you mess up, they forgive it, right? You'll have to declare bankruptcy probably, but you'll make it through.
Your life's not over.
Yeah. Student loans, they don't forget about those. If you don't pay them, someone else in your family is going to pay them, right? You have authorized payers.
Yeah.
Forever. That is the most screwed up thing ever, especially when you're giving a kid for a liberal arts graphic design degree, you're giving them $160,000, and the most they can make out of college is 50 grand. That is broken. That is a broken system. And then you have counselors and advisors at the school who, lied to my siblings, have lied to a lot of people saying, oh, it's hard to transfer here. Don't go to community college. Come here all 4 years because they make more money. And my philosophy on it is, if you cannot get into a top 15 school, and if you're not going for a worthwhile major, I think that's pretty obvious. Medicine, law, maybe business. And if you're just super passionate about the other stuff, go ahead. But if you cannot get into a top 15 school in the country, go to the best state school possible, the best public state school possible. Luckily for us, we have Illinois. I was able to work pretty much full-time last year while going to online community college, never set foot on campus, pay very little money, do over a full-time student class load, never actually worry about school or homework or work pretty much full-time on the business doubled that year. And so I saw the growth there, and I said, you know what, I feel like I'm getting dumber. I feel like I'm not as social as I want to be. I felt like just lonely, I guess, at home. Of course, love my family, love my brothers. I have a big family, thankfully. But at the same time, it's like I want to be meeting new people. I'm young. That motivates me to meet new people. And so I said, Illinois is the best decision. It's not too expensive. It's actually a pretty good school, as from what I'm learning being here. So for me, I'm lucky enough to be here in Illinois. It makes sense. That's why I'm here. So far, I feel like I think I'm getting better socially, getting better orally, meeting some great people, you guys. Luke,
appreciate it.
meeting some great people, having some great experiences. And I think that is motivating me to do more. And so that's why I'm really focused on, even though I am motivated to do more, I sometimes have less time to do it. So the time I do have, I got to really focus on and really get a lot done with. But yeah, if you cannot get into a top 15 school in the country, go to the best public state school possible. Save you, save your parents, save a lot of people money and hardships in the future.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's controversial.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that you have like actual like statement that like has some action like intrinsically like tied into it. Because like, you know, you could see what I'm saying. So then what would you want to get out of like these 4 years here? I mean, I guess it's not 4, I guess it's 3.
I'm like a year ahead, so it's probably only 2.
Okay. Well, 2 years. What would you want to leave here saying, oh, I got better at this, or this happened?
Yeah. I'll give you 2 responses. The semi-fake one and like the real one. So the semi-fake one is my companies, my portfolio of companies that I run. I want to scale them up to a place to where I can exit them. So with the nut company, already spoken with some firms, private equity and whatnot, identified the multiple they pay for a certain revenue type business. So we just got to scale the nut company up to 10 or 20 million a year. We can sell it for like a certain amount times EBITDA. And so we have a goal there. And so my excuse is, or my typical why I'm here doing a finance degree is I'm looking for the specific, like the finance related, like specific forms, the statements, the jargon, the vocab, in order to really scale the business up to a place where it's 10, 20 million a year so I can sell it to these big firms. I know what they're looking for. That's what I'd say why I'm here for a finance degree. Really, I have a for business majors, which actually going back, I'm recommending more people do engineering majors. I think the engineering kids are very sharp. And be just now how much you use of the engineering major, whatever. The fact that you're around other smart kids, like really smart kids, is like that's a huge benefit. That's a huge benefit. No offense to our business people.
I completely agree.
You agree. Yeah. So my idea with the business major, right? My family philosophy that was put onto me is like, look, you should get your bachelor's, but you should treat it as a check mark if you want to. My brother, all 4 years online, graduated in 3 from Indiana University. Was an online program, but his major doesn't say that. Okay. He really treated it as a check mark. He's got that bachelor's in business. For me, I was like, well, maybe I want to learn a little bit, try to get smarter, not be as lonely. So what I'm actually looking to get out of college is to have a network of people who are doing incredible things. Hence why maybe engineering would have been better for me, right? For that goal, but then maybe it would be too much of a time commitment. I don't know. I think also sitting in these classes, like I'm saying, my principles of management, my principles of marketing, whatever. I do get motivated. Like I have a pen and paper, and I'm writing down ideas like, oh, run this for BrothersNuts, or oh wow, that's an interesting idea Walter's just talked about. What if I did that for this? So I think the issue with college and a lot of business classes now is that it's too broad. We're sitting in a class for a semester long learning 500 frameworks. It's too many frameworks. You only need one. You only need 5. You only need a couple. Pick one, test it on a company, test it on a product. You don't like it, doesn't work, new one. That's the current system of the business where it's like, I just don't think it works too well. Like the business